In today's show, we have another multi-topic episode where first we discuss, is it okay to fake images and voices of dead actors? And then we discuss, should we regulate AI? And if so, how?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasula and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello my friend once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell? What you gonna do, Tony?
I wish one day you would change the tone. You'd come in and go, "Hey, I'm doing great, Tone. I've caught your bug. I'm, motivated, enthused, energized."
You want me to say I've caught you a bug? See what I mean about the state of the world, man? That's supposed to make me feel good? Really? What the hell, man?
Oh dear. Anyway, come on, let's continue our tradition. Are you going to say hello to our audience?
We're supposed to. Hello, audience.
Hooray!
So anyway,
Oh
no,
no.
today. No. Today is the 14th of May. Not No, actually no. It's
What's that
Why are you
mean?
Why are you laughing? It's 14th of May. So I'll never forget my granddad's last words to me just before he died. He said, "Tayo, are you still holding the ladder?" What? What kind of sympathy is this?
Oh my goodness me. That's actually one of your best ones ever. Apologise to our audience. Oh, I must say, that was one of the best ones. Keep them like that. I'll be happy. Anyway, enough of this frivolous jollity, as if that's a word, I don't know.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, let's move on with our show. And today, time permitting, we're going to try and cover more than one topic. But to begin with, we're going to discuss, is it okay to fake images and voices of dead actors? Taya, you came up with this one, so do you want to kick things off?
Yes, I actually feel strongly about this. You see, there's an advertisement. It's old now, but it was on YouTube, I think, for quite a while. And it featured a sort of CGI'd Audrey Hepburn.
Okay.
And I just felt, she's dead, right? So my question to myself, and the why I don't like to use I got offended because that sounds very snowflake generation sort of thing.
Okay.
But the reason it's upset me is because I know that she couldn't have given her permission because she's dead. So she can't give permission. So how do we know that she'd have been okay with that advertisement? Okay, it was for perfume. We can surmise that she would have been okay with it in real life. And from that point of view, that's okay, I suppose. But what if it wasn't? What if it was something more questionable?
Yeah.
From her point of view, from the morality of her time, it could have been for something else, and with which she wasn't okay. But it's just usurping her image. I mean, whether or not there's actual moral damage, I don't think there is, because she's dead. So we can't prove that wherever she is now, she's highly offended by that.
Yeah.
But then again, we can't prove that she isn't. So I do think that the process is like, with these things, as normally happens, and my position is It's the thin edge of the wedge. We start off with dead people,
Yeah.
and then we do old people who are possibly in, senile or something. We say, well, like we've got a famous actor now who's not doing very well,
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And you can see where someone wants to make it Die Hard 19 or something ridiculous.
Mm.
And they think, yeah, well, he can't actually give his permission, but the family's okay because the family's going to be making some money out of it. But Bruce Willis, maybe if he had been compos mentis, would have been, nah, I don't want to be in. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
So this is my this is basically my position, that it's got moral dimensions to it that people don't seem to have. And then later on, we're going to circle back to this again because we're going to be talking about AI.
That's right.
And then,
which is what this is really, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and then they start saying, well, Tony, you've signed something, you bought a product and you gave them permission to use an image, and say it's not actually you. Don't forget, it's just your image, so it's okay. Like, yeah, but it looks like me. So
yeah. This is a bigger issue. You're absolutely spot on, and asking permission is really important. And you're right. If someone is deceased, who gives that permission? Is it the immediate family? And should that be sought after, or because someone's been dead a certain amount of time, then what is that time period? Could we, for instance, go back to, I don't know, changing the view of history, for instance? Let's say, I mean, a lot of this technology, just to clarify, this is available now and has been for a few years, and it's commonly termed as, in the negative instances for sure, deep fake.
Yep.
And it's happened already. We've had famous actresses, for instance, who have been shown in pornographic material that looks like them, when clearly it's not. But the difference between the two, the what it looks like, and as the technology is evolving, remember the technology that we see now is the worst it's ever going to be. It's obviously improving. Then how can you tell the difference between the two? And you're right. If you go back, let's say, I don't know, argument's sake, somebody wanted to portray a Hitler, for
Marilyn
instance.
Monroe.
Yeah, or Hitler even,
Hitler,
and show him in a, I don't know, in a field naked or something, and make it look like that's genuine footage from that time.
Actually, not that they want to make him naked, but that they want him to give a speech dealing with modern issues, but still selling his old philosophy.
Yes.
That would be even more dangerous.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Absolutely. And because his next of kin are not around, who can you ask permission to use his image, his voice, to recreate something? Also,
his next of kin are around.
Are they still around? I thought
he has a nephew who's got his own family, who moved to the United States of America during the war, and I don't know if that man is still alive, but his family still is.
Right, so he's got descendants still.
He definitely has descendants.
Oh wow, that's news to me, I must say. Okay, interesting.
Not I don't know about descendants, but close family. And nephew, I said. So it's not,
right,
he doesn't have his own offspring. But
no, that's why I thought it was odd. But okay, I'm hoping he doesn't keep the family name.
I think he changed it to Hissler with an S, and then after that, subsequently he changed it yet further.
Yeah, Hissler itself has got a connotation, because isn't that the name that Nostradamus predicted? There was a. We're sidetracking this slightly, yeah, but yeah, Nostradamus predicted there'd be someone called Hissler who would cause real problems. So
maybe that's why he changed the name yet further.
Yeah, possibly indeed. Anyway, going back to this, but yeah, you're right. But what's happening now is the just recently, wasn't there a bit of a grey area in terms of music, where what happened was, yeah, I think you might have an issue with this as well. A normal individual wrote his own song and then used AI to simulate the voices of well-known artists. I think Drake being one of them.
Yeah.
And got Drake's voice to sing his song. And it did really well on YouTube until it was taken down. And they discovered that Drake hadn't given him permission to use his voice. And he's saying, well, what copyright laws is he, sort of losing and using, for instance? But he wasn't. So it's still a grey area. So the laws need to be better improved to protect people who don't give their permission. But you're right, going back to dead actors, how do we address this? What do we do? How do we stop it even occurring?
The question is this: we're going to have people arguing, lawyers, obviously for one, who will argue that actually no one is being harmed. So there would be, where money comes in, someone's going to stand up and say, well, it's my dad, it's my mom, it's my grandmother, and where's my cut? That kind of thing. And I suppose, like you asked earlier, what's the statute of limitations? When does it run out? What's his name? John Wayne has been dead since 1971 and 1972.
Yeah.
So that's what, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Should people still be earning money off that? So you want to bring back John Wayne? You want to put him into a modern cowboy movie? Really, whose ox is being gored? We need to first of all, we need to figure out if anyone's ox is being gored. Anyone's provably being bored, because we can always speculate that John Wayne is sitting up there somewhere or down there somewhere, depending, and he's extra, upset if he's down there, or just upset if he's up there, and because people are using his image. And he had strong views, if you recall.
He did have strong views, yes, he did, yeah.
So he'd have been very particular about what movies was going to be, if he had been around, and very particular about what films he'd be in, and what was happening to his character. There's no way a woke movie today would have had a John Wayne in it.
No, absolutely not.
You take John Wayne's image, you put him to a woke movie, that's going to...
Exactly.
All sorts of issues. But that's exactly why the wokesters would want to use him.
Yes. To change their narrative. And but it's actually happened even now. Did you know this? Recently, I discovered while doing research for this show that even one of the, what they're called, one of these groups, for instance, politics. Yeah, there was. Let me find it. I think I had it to hand.
Politics.
Yeah, where politics, for instance, has happened in Malaysia, for instance, where one of the candidates was shown in a compromising position with another male person in the ministry. Okay, and obviously in Malaysia, homosexuality is against the law. And there's really serious repercussions. And
that's
for
sensible country.
But okay, but the fact was, he was shown in a compromising position to affect the opposition. So the opposition got more votes because they're bringing down the incumbent leader by showing him in a bad light. And I mean, you could do that with photographs, even now, and it's actually been happening for years, where certain photographs are manipulated to make it look to the average person that the person is being compromised. Yeah, exactly. It's happened for years. In fact, ever since the photograph.
The Soviets came up with that, didn't they? There's a word for it. It sounds almost like English. I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, and people are going to write in and say, no, it's not like that. But I believe it was comprosimot. Yeah, something like it's to compromise.
Right.
And the Soviets came up with that, and they were compromising Western leaders. Well, this is it. But I would say one thing, and that is that, in fact, I've got it written down here, that the thing is, video evidence would no longer be strong enough.
No, that's right.
And people will get away with stuff because it was like, it's them. And they say, deep fake.
Yeah,
really?
they could use that all the time.
And then people are just going to be like, yeah, it probably was. It's not like that. They'll get away with it.
mean,
so we misuse these things at our peril, because I'm pretty sure that at some point in the next few years, we won't be able to go to court with a video.
Well,
under some circumstances.
Yeah,
if it's the government, even if the government video, if you want to argue that the government has it in for you, but that would be difficult to accept. So if you're if you're thinking about speeding fine or something,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really hard sell to walk into a court and say the government is stitching you up, right? That would be a hard sell.
Indeed.
But if you're a politician and you're caught with your trousers down or your skirts up, one of the two, whatever,
Yeah.
then you could just turn around and go, deep fake,
Yeah.
and just shrug, and just as long as you just play it straight and no one can actually prove anything. And then as a politician, start getting all upset about it. Say, look, we're going to have to come down hard on these, AI. And he just, soon enough, a couple of weeks later, people are talking about something else.
I mean, all this started, you can go back. The only people that are, in fact, immune to any sort of deep fake manipulation, AI change, is there's actually a cutoff point. There is a cutoff point in the calendar. 1838. 1838 is the cutoff point. So anything from 1838 year to now, things could be manipulated. Prior to that, there was not even photography, because 1838 is when the first photograph was created. Now, it was obviously quite grainy, quite poor quality, but you could make out the image. In fact, this is really odd. In 1840, just 2 years after the first photo was produced featuring a human being, there was a French photographer called Hippolyte Baynard. He developed the first intentional fake photograph. He did it 2 years after the original one, and it was to allow them to do a test to see whether it could be manipulated. So it wasn't used, obviously, but they had done it. So if even at that stage they'd thought about changing and manipulating things, it shows the extent of everything we've been exposed to ever since. Because the first thing we had was photos. When Photoshop came out, when it came out in the 90s, Photoshop, everyone was up in arms. Oh, my goodness me, photos will be manipulated. We never know whether or not anything is real anymore. And we always knew that, video is real. You can't fake that. But now, because of the advent of AI and the technology that's come along, we can fake that too. And what you've said is 100% right. If you were to go into a court of law with video now, and it was debatable of how it was acquired, it can either, go against you or for you. But there are ways, I think, that we can counter this.
Well, before you get into that,
go on.
You were talking about porn, and I'll start by saying, strictly out of interest for the deep fake thing, and for no other reason. Well, I don't know why my friend sent it to me, but he did. But my interest was in the deep fake thing. There's one going around showing Rihanna supposedly in compromising
positions. Okay.
And I thought, okay, this is why my friend sent it to me, actually. It's like, how can you, Tayo, do your thingy and definitely prove that this is not who it is, who it's said to be? And I thought, I'm going to be clever. So I went online and looked at all her images in a bathing suit. In bathing suits. And she has tattoos.
This research must have pleased you no end.
No. I'm not, I'm not actually, no, I'm MGTOW. I'm not actually into all that kind of thing.
Not
I was more
Rihanna. I mean,
interested.
she's rather nice to look at. So anyway,
No,
go
I'm
on.
MGTOW. I don't really care
Okay.
about all that.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was looking at her tattoos because that's what I thought. These clowns, and we know what they're doing. And either that was her or they remembered to put the tattoos in. But don't forget that these are not static images. These are video.
Moving, yeah.
So these are moving. And all the tattoos that I recognize are all there. And from everything else, I mean, facially, everything, I can't flip and tell the flipping difference.
Wow.
Now, I don't think she would have made a movie like that because it didn't look like a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of thing.
No.
It looked like a proper sort of like a
Yeah.
porn video.
Yeah.
So why would she make a porn video? I mean, she's got all the loot she needs, So
Indeed.
and it's like a more modernish thing because I don't think she had those tattoos going back earlier.
Right.
So it is a modern thing. So from that point of view, it's a deep fake. But my goodness, what a flipping fantastic
Deep
effort.
fake,
I mean,
yeah.
maybe there are other people who are smarter than me who could like sort it out. And maybe there are techniques, but from my point of view, it's indistinguishable from what I'd expect to see.
Interesting. The thing is, most of it is to do with abuses and without permission. So someone is trying to make money in some form without asking the permission of the individual. And if you've asked for permission, say for instance an actor, like we discussed already about Bruce Willis. Let's say Bruce Willis did want more films to come out where he would then generally benefit. Of course he would. He may give permission for this technology to be used. Because, I mean, simple ones, for instance, look at the recent Star Wars films where not the deep fake, but they're AI generated, but they had Carrie Fisher.
De-aged.
Yeah, de-aged. That happens. And we've had several films like that. And also the film where we had, I think it was Rogue One, which is a Star Wars film. It was an offshoot of Star Wars.
Yeah.
They had
A very good film, by the way.
Yeah, very good film. They had Moff Tarkin, who was Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
They did his part in the film. Now, the question we haven't asked, I don't know, who gave permission for him to be used in that film?
It should be the
His
estate.
family?
No, the estate, whoever inherited, whoever's running that estate, because he does have an estate, doesn't he? When you die, you have an estate.
Yeah.
I don't know if specifically someone says, when I die, this person holds my estate for receiving images, receiving money for my image. I don't know if that happens with actors, but I suppose they've figured it out that this person got the bulk of the estate, ergo it's this person who owns those images.
And is it per, say, for instance, in that film, he was used quite extensively, actually. So how much did he get paid?
I have no idea.
Do you see what I mean? And it's like, well, did he get paid the same as the living actors, or did he get paid less? Do you see all these complications? Like, well, hold on, how then? What if Star Wars wanted to do another one based on him? Have they got permission for the first film? Does it mean it rolls on to other films? And if so, how long are the films? How much does he get paid? Do you see what I mean? It's a complicated issue. It makes more sense to actually create a character who doesn't exist.
Yes.
From scratch.
Well, you say that, but I'm sure you've horrified every single actor and actress who's heard you just now. Because in the long run, as a studio, why wouldn't you just want to create your own characters?
Well,
you don't have to pay anybody anything.
There is that indicator anyway. Now, you could create, how do these animated films work? They're not real characters.
Yeah.
All they do is pay the voice actors to voice over the top.
And why would you even want to do that?
Why would you do that if you can generate AI voices?
Just generate AI voices and AI. And by the way, as a studio, where are we headed to, say, I don't know, 50, at the rate at which AI is actually improving nowadays? I was going to say in 100 years, but it might actually be in 10, 15, 20 years.
Easy 10 years.
We have studios who don't need script writers.
No.
They don't need script writers. They don't need actors and actresses. You know, and they just sit down and so somebody comes up. Someone comes
Wow.
up with an idea and tells an AI, "This is my idea," and the AI writes it
And it
and
creates the film.
creates the film.
Yeah. With all the scenes. Yeah, of course. That's not far away.
And then all those people in Hollywood are out of it, which maybe
Well,
is not a bad thing.
but
Hollyweird, I call it.
imagine the ruling around that. How would you control what gets depicted, what doesn't, it's
Ah,
complete manipulation.
what a wonderful question you've asked. Now, I don't know, it's kind of tangential. Maybe we keep it for AI, for our AI discussion. So I'll write it down so I don't forget. But that was a very important thing you said because actually there's some horrific moral implications
Indeed, absolutely. Who
to this.
who dictates what is shown? What can you show? How far do you show it?
Hmm.
What do you do? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Where things may not have happened in a natural world, and they manipulated in this world. So, I mean, for argument's sake, let's say, I don't know. I mean, it happens now in computer games where you have the technical ability to show computer games that are so crazily powerful that look great on the right equipment. Yes, you can still tell they're computer generated,
For
but
now.
that's not far. Yeah, for now, but that's going to be moving forward where you don't get that. I mean, now what they
Yeah,
do
but
with a
that's
lot,
more an AI discussion
it is an AI discussion. Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than
yeah.
should we be using dead images of dead actors and
Yes,
actresses.
indeed. I mean, we're morphing into that, which is what we wanted to cover in the next section anyway. But the two can be intertwined. Let's be honest. Because first off, using the actors and voices. I mean, we going back to that. How do we stop? I don't know whether there's a rule or a law currently.
Mm.
How Michael Jackson, for argument's sake,
Yep.
he's passed away,
Mm.
and he's been gone a few years now. But you can get AI to recreate his voice. So, and if they chose to, what if they brought out new songs based on his previous history of songs
No, he left a huge number of songs, didn't he? I heard over 200.
that weren't completed, and you can get them
No, I'm
completed?
not sure about not completed. He left them as he bequeathed them.
Did he?
Yes, he bequeathed them as part of his will.
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
I don't know why they're not being released or anything, or who's holding them for what. Maybe someone's just sitting on them for as an investment or something, but I don't know why.
Hmm.
So I mean, if they start releasing them, somebody somewhere would compete with that because once there's a buzz going, like, oh, Michael Jackson's back, the buzz goes, and like this guy that did something about Drake, he
Yeah.
he would want to capitalize on
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
and go, well, and I just wonder, what if it's a near voice other than an active voice, so that near enough to fool most people, but music experts would know that it's not the same voice.
Possibly. Then yeah,
That's a,
you're on a different can of worms. They're too similar. But then again,
similar,
yeah, but
similar, you
but
know, but
the big players
mm,
will always tend to win because we've had litigation instances where big companies have taken small companies to court that their company name or their because they have image rights are too close
yeah,
and people
yeah.
will get confused. So I
Okay, that's a
suppose
good point.
this would make the same issue.
I think that's a good point, actually. Yes. So if it was close enough to sound like MJ, for instance, Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, then you could say, well, actually, you're doing that deliberately because you're
Yeah.
trying to piggyback off Michael Jackson. So therefore, what you're actually doing is not wanting to pay us our royalties.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
there's
that could, yeah.
rules already in place for that.
Mm.
But
So that means that the Drake thing in that case is a clear-cut win for Drake. From what you've just explained now, that what's the argument? It sounds like Drake, therefore you can't use it.
yeah, although it wasn't exactly him,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what the guy was arguing. He goes, "Well, it's my
Yeah, but you've just
song."
said
Yeah, I
no.
know.
You've just said that it's too close. So if it's
Yes,
close enough to fool, I mean, the reason you used it is because he sounds like Drake.
exactly.
And
That's the thing that the litigators are trying to prove
Mm.
because he could say, "Oh no, I just liked his voice and I thought, well, that's a good idea, and I created it from scratch." How do you then prove that?
Well, now that we're seeing you, how do you like it now?
Yeah, indeed.
No,
Indeed.
no,
I
no, that
mean,
doesn't make.
what
No.
was recently the one in the courts with Ed Sheeran and Marvin Gaye's family? Did you hear about this one just
No.
recently? Yeah.
Neither of those were my sort of top
Oh,
listenings,
okay.
so I don't.
Well, Marvin Gaye's family took Ed Sheeran to court saying he'd copied a bit of a riff in one of his famous
A riff.
songs. A riff, sorry,
Mm.
in his famous songs, and he had to go to court because it was a copyright claim
Yeah,
that Marvin Gaye's family were owed a lot of royalties from the success of Ed Sheeran's song, and
right.
had to go to court, and he had to play in the court, and they had to play the similarity. And granted, there was a slight similarity, but it was only one little section.
Mm.
And Ed Sheeran's case, he won because that little riff wasn't
Riff.
even riff. I keep saying that. That riff wasn't even just Martin Gaye's. It was used elsewhere as well.
Right.
It was quite generic,
Right.
and that's how he got through. But there was similarity. But how much similarity do you then make a case? So all this is going to do is going to make lawyers richer.
Yep. There was one. I mean, I like this song, the Rolling Stones. There was a Rolling Stones song which I grew up with, and I really enjoyed. And then the Verve.
Oh yes,
The Verve. They released a track which I really loved, and it was very similar, called "Bittersweet Symphony."
oh brilliant song. Yeah.
But it was because even when I first heard it, I was like, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's very much like the Rolling Stones thing. And then they got sued by the Rolling Stones, and they lost.
They did, yes.
They did. They lost. And I just asking myself,
that's a shame because it was a great song.
It was a great song. I was thinking to myself, well, the Rolling Stones, I used to like it, but I mean, how much money do you actually need, man? you got all these millions. Yeah, somebody's made a little bit off of it. So you just like, don't do that again. I'd have liked it if they'd gone to court maybe, and then maybe had the Verve pay for their court bills and left it at that. Just to make a point that you're not free to just rip off our stuff.
Well,
but I
think they should have paid something because that similarity was quite.
It was more than just.
It was quite. It went through the whole track, really, didn't it?
Maybe just next time, just ask permission first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what you do. That's how you do to create a cover. It's the permission element. It's asking for permission, isn't it?
A famous joke, isn't it? A Jimmy Carr joke. Right? Should I?
Yeah. Is it rude or?
No, I don't know. You make up your mind. It says if based on ask permission first, Jimmy Carr's advice is if you're going to have sex with strangers, you better get permission first. That's
pretty sound advice. Yeah.
Probably best if you get permission.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important at that stage. Indeed. All right, but I mean, we mentioned it briefly already about the second part of the topic, which really links into the first, is should we regulate AI? And if so, how? How do we even do it?
That's why I went like this.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, man. Well, I've got one idea.
Go on.
So first of all, should we just put an end? You usually ask me a question at the end of one topic.
Well, yes. Okay. Is it okay? Because I think these two topics are quite intertwined. We can still bounce between the two. But yes, if you want to summarize the first one, is it okay to fake images and videos of dead actors?
No, because they can't get permission.
Agreed. I'm with you there. I think they should be allowed to be laid to rest and be in peace. The rest bit comes into play. They shouldn't be brought back just because a film needs their input again for some Hollywood film or production to make gazillions. It's if the actor has died, then leave them to rest, and that's it. So anyway, the AI one. So regulate AI.
Oh,
first off, should we?
I don't know. We'll come back to the should we, but I do have an idea for the how.
Oh, go on then. Let's share that.
Ask AI.
Ask AI. Interesting.
get AI to worry
AI
about
to
it.
regulate. Do you know, I was thinking about this as doing research for the show. You know, at the minute, there's this craze where there's these, is it NFCs?
Yeah.
NFCs?
NFTs, is it?
NFTs, there you go, thank you.
something.
NFTs
No,
is
it's not.
where you create a digital picture and you have the license for that based on some encryption that's intertwined
Mm.
in the photo. So that's your photo NFT. So if somebody copies it, you know they've copied it because it's your photo. So whatever that encryption is it using what's it called? A ledger using crypto technology. If that is the case, then there is an element that we could actually do similar thing with video.
Mm-hmm.
So video, once it's created in its raw form, it could be crypto enabled. So that means it's not manipulated. So you know, first off, that footage is genuine as of when it was recorded, perhaps. And then subsequently, when it's edited, then that ledger is amended to show the edits of the video. So you can see a crumb trail, effectively, of the video being amended. So you can see what the original looked like in its raw format and all the subsequent edits. So then you can look at the edit and go, yeah, that's fake, because the original one doesn't look like that. That would be good for the moon landing, because because obviously there's still conspiracies nowadays of whether the moon was reached or not.
In a massive aside,
Yeah.
I think I sent you some material over yet another holiday Tony's just back from again. Real globetrotter, this Tony, man, I tell you. Anyway, whilst I was away, I believe I sent you something about the moon landings, and that my position has been gradually strengthened that we did go to the moon. Did I send you something?
You did about evidence that someone was claiming. I'm trying to turn my fan off here because it's making a lot of noise. And if you can pick it up, I do apologize.
It isn't a complete aside, but when it comes to like fakery and so on and so forth, the other thing that when we were discussing this, and our audience can go back and either listen to the podcast or what I think we hadn't started making videos at the time. The last time we spoke about did they fake the moon landings?
Yeah.
We came to the conclusion that some of the photos were fakes. I still feel that some of them were fake, but do you remember one about the shadows?
Yeah.
Shadows not pointing in the right direction. Well, I've subsequently seen videos that show shadows doing a similar thing on planet Earth.
Oh.
Yeah, really? Yes. And it just depends on where you place the camera. So the shadows is no longer strong evidence for faked videos.
There was one, I mean, I know this is an aside, but it is linked as well. Do you remember there was a picture where the crosshairs
yes.
appeared
I still believe in
behind?
that, by the way. Mm-hmm.
Why did NASA feel the need to do that? Why? Why did they put the crosshairs behind the astronaut?
I don't think in those days whoever did it was highly competent and probably just didn't think about it. Just a mistake. And showing us that image just wasn't real. It was a publicity stunt. 178 billion is in I don't know whether it was in 1960 whatever it was, 68 was it? When did we go?
69.
1969. Was it is it 178 billion in 1969 money or 178 billion in 2023 money, which isn't what it used to be. So whatever it was, it's a lot of money for what was essentially a publicity stunt because they wanted to beat the Soviets.
Yes.
So you want to beat the Soviets, and then you have this grainy, awful pictures. It doesn't really show anything. So you want to sharpen it up. You want to actually just edit the images, and then you make a few mistakes, and then that leads to people saying these images are faked. That's the problem. So I still, like I think I said at the time during our podcast, I do believe we went to the moon. I believe that, but I believe that some of the images were faked.
just to improve NASA's standing. And
Precisely.
it does beg the question, because the images, yeah, they must have been manipulated, and that's unfortunate for NASA, because now they're getting blamed for the whole thing being fake, when in fact it was the images, because the video images were awful.
Yeah.
How could the static images be so crystal clear and in such high quality? And then, so again, that's an unknown.
I'm trying to find it. I am trying to find it, and I promise I'm still looking. I've heard that NASA actually admits to faking images. It's not trying to hide it, but I haven't found the actual declaration where NASA says, "Oh yeah, we touch up images all the time," because there's an image of a Mars rover, which is clearly not on Mars, because in the background there's some kind of animal that lives on, that is like an amphibian, and it's on planet. Yeah, yes, it looks like a rock, but it isn't. It's an Earth animal.
What?
And they're like, "Yeah, this isn't. Sorry, yeah, we use that. That's from our training program."
See, that doesn't bode well, does it? It doesn't instill confidence in an organization as big as it is, where they feel the need to actually release photos which are genuinely fake, if you pardon the oxymoron. But
yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Didn't even catch it.
But yeah, it's the problem being it undermines them by doing that. Totally, because if they start, it's that same scenario. If you find that someone's integrity is under under question because of their behavior, you think, well, all of this they've done, but that bit there was really dodgy. You think, well, that's part of them. You sure that all of this isn't also dodgy? And it puts it into question. And so, yeah, that's a separate aside. But the manipulation element happens if it happens already, and they've even admitted that they do it. I'm sorry, but that undermines them even more. Either they're incompetent, the people that actually do it don't know how to do their jobs, or they are hiding something.
No, they say they're not hiding anything. They say that they do it. For instance, these pictures of star systems and solar system or whatever, that comes back from the satellites.
Hubble and not Hubble now. It's the other one, isn't it? The James Webb telescope.
Things like, so those images don't look anything like that. But
because they're infrared, though. Yeah,
they have to be colorized, and they're all sorts of. So they've got to be manipulated. Said otherwise, you just be looking at a bunch of squiggles, going, well, what's this? So they're not hiding. But I can't find it. I need to be able to find the actual page on their website that says that. Yeah, we do this, because that's the sort of openness that we're talking about. So we're pretty open about why we're doing it.
Yeah, but looking at a bunch of squiggles and converting the squiggles into an image that we as humans can see, that's one thing. But when you're changing the narrative of an image and that's a different thing, where it's an image in its own right, but you've now changed it. That's different. You've changed it for a different steer. You want a different outcome from whoever's seeing that picture, and that's the different thing. You now question the integrity, question their methods, and think, why are you doing this? It doesn't bode well. Anyway, let's go back. We obviously digress.
They should use AI.
Well, AI.
This is an AI generated image at the bottom of the thing. Everybody's happy. This is an AI generated image at the bottom. Just basically openness. You just open. This is not a genuine picture of Mars. This is what it might look like if you were there.
Yeah. If it's
you put that at the bottom. So this is an image of what Mars might look like from the rover. Everyone's happy.
Yes.
No problem. You're not hiding anything. You're not discovering anything. Oh, you should have said that up front.
Yeah. But I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't feel.
You just feel comfortable.
I don't. I think if it's a bad picture, a blurry picture, show it anyway. That shows, genuine. The fact that some of the pictures aren't all right. I know this is.
Do you know the face on Mars? You know the face.
Yes.
This famous
face, yeah.
face that looks up on Mars. Why? Maybe a topic for another day. In fact, it is a topic for another day. Why didn't they ever send a rover back then? They land their rovers far away from there. Why don't they land their rovers close to there? I'm going to have to look at what it actually is.
Well, I've seen a photo of the area in higher definition, actually, because they.
So have I.
Yeah, but because they. Because obviously that face it only showed up when the sun was shining at a particular angle, looked like a face, and obviously it made the news. But subsequently, they've taken further photos when the angle of the sunlight is different, and it's just a mountain. There's nothing about it.
It's a mountain, but it's got pyramids close by.
Pyramids? What, actual pyramids like pyramids in Egypt?
Things that look like pyramids.
Okay.
So the question is, if you are going to send something back to Mars, why don't you send it there and just put this thing to bed once and for all?
Well, yes.
It's like the cube. It's like that
cube, on the moon. Yeah, we discussed it.
What's the story with the moon? Why didn't they? Why hasn't the rover, the Chinese rover in this case, why didn't that go further and just stop? So it's fine, we know. And then it's like, wait, hang on.
Well, they did, didn't they? They showed us pictures which looked absolutely nothing like what they did. Yeah.
Like the originals, like
hang on,
line thorax. No, that's not.
So you don't see it. What you've said in the past that governments lie, and there you go.
Oh, these guys are lying through their fucking teeth. There's something just very. These two things. I don't like conspiracy theories. But I got questions here and they need to be answered. Something isn't right. Something's off here.
But yeah, okay. The thing is, because these
nothing to do with AI. Sorry.
No, I know it's not. But AI images that they can produce now. We can question everything because deep fake images have been around for a while. Yep. Deep fake videos are now quite prominent, and as this AI gets more and more powerful, you're not going to be able to determine the difference between the two, unless we do have some crypto type technology that produces a ledger behind these videos.
Can't do that for everything. For instance, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
he was talking about AI, and he said he gave the AI a task to write something using. In the way that Jordan Peterson would have written it.
Yes.
So he let him test. They let the AI let him. They let the AI test. Sorry, he used his previous work as a model, as working models.
Well, that's how they work. Yeah. They digest all your previous stuff.
Yeah, there's a word for it, but I've forgotten anyway. So,
large level.
No, it's how they absorb. It's like,
oh, I see.
Model off this, that
right.
kind of thing. So you see, modeling off me. How would I have written this? And the bloody thing Roger said this, I think wrote in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's no way of inserting that signature you're talking about into what is basically writing, text. Because
text is hard, I agree.
Yeah, there's no way of doing it. So eventually we are going to find situations where AI might be doing something which is undetectable.
I think the technology could be controlled if it was for video and pictures. Yes. Any new stuff that's created could have that signature on it that I spoke about. I mean, obviously we're not there yet, so we've got this interim period where it's like anything goes and you don't know what's right and wrong. But if they can somehow add that in, so when the raw material is filmed or a photo is taken, then it automatically has this crypto code to it, and then any changes to it, that code will change, and you'd know it's been manipulated. But text is harder, you're right.
Sorry.
No,
do we go down the North Korean route, which is that every computer in the country signs everything it produces?
Interesting.
That's what North Korea does. Every computer signs everything it produces. You can't create something and you won't know what computer it came off. That's why you don't have people mouthing off.
in North Korea.
In North Korea.
Wow, that is incredible. If that is true and that's how they've set it up,
Yep, and something to do with the printers too. When you print out, they know what printer it came off. So good luck with that.
goodness me.
I just like the mentality. It's just so sort of Thaiish. They look
Well,
locked up.
well, you made an interesting point at the beginning of the show that we're off air, I think, where you said that liberal governments are actually all becoming more fascist. That's exactly it. We're heading to that model, I would suggest. If you want to actually control this stuff, then that would probably be the only viable model that would prove where all content comes from.
And let me tell you why. Because I said we're going to wait until we got to this stage.
Yep.
And there's the implications that a lot of people haven't even thought about. And frankly, I hadn't until somebody mentioned it in the video I was watching. And it's horrifying. What about when people start making child pornography videos, arguing that actually no child was harmed? And it's true.
Oh,
See?
dear.
No child would be harmed. Not only that, bestiality. Not only that, torture. You can show all these images, you can make all these images, and you can always argue that nobody was harmed because nobody was. No animal was harmed because no animal was.
Wow. That's interesting.
So when that gets out, then we're going to need to have a sit-down conversation about what sort of society are we actually trying to come up with here.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, this is where we I think even oh gosh, yeah, that's a real conundrum, because you can say it's sickening. Your AI generated content totally. So
totally 100% total.
Yeah, no one is affected in any way other than the end product.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful, because I mean, you're right. You'd have strong conversations about morally whether this stuff should even be produced, and AI could be, I don't know, could it be? Because now it does. If, say, for instance, you wanted to write something that used a certain language, poor language, it does stop it now. It says that's barred, you can't use that. So any negative, not negative words, but any sort of language at the minute which is in the range that you've just mentioned is barred now. So you couldn't create it in AI as it is, unless somebody creates rogue AIs from scratch, or they can do and take other information, then they could create their own, which without these checks and balances. But
someone said, if you want to tell an AI right now, how could I organize a terrorist? How could I carry out a successful terrorist attack on, I don't know, whatever, houses of parliament, whatever, okay? The AI would say, no, I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay. So there are things you could...
If you said to the AI, in fiction, how would I attack?
Oh, right. So
how would my character, how would a character in a fictional book successfully carry out an attack on the House of Parliament in the UK? The AI will tell you. So you just need to ask the question in such a way that the AI will tell you.
You frame it right.
You frame it correctly.
Interesting. So yeah, that's the difficulty, isn't it? I think morally there are certain things that can't be produced. So there has to be laws in place from the outset. On the IT companies, though, because at the end of the day, someone is the owner or responsible for these AI systems. It's not like they've just created themselves. So if the AI produces things that are deemed unlawful, then the creators of the AI are culpable, as opposed to the person asking for that content to be created.
But the AI company now sits somewhere in Latin America or Cayman Islands or somewhere like that. You can't touch them.
Doesn't matter. It will be a global thing. It has to be.
No, it
'Cause this
won't
is
be.
a glo-
That's the
but it
whole
will.
point.
But they will.
It's like finance now. So countries
Finance
with
is global now.
yeah, but there are countries where people look the other way. Or don't ask too many questions about where the money comes from.
Well,
And
this is
it's getting even more interesting because people don't like what happened to Russia's what do you call
economy.
it? No, sovereign funds, wealth funds, or whatever it's called.
Well, no,
Reserves.
the reserves are still held. They're just not being able to be accessed. You're right.
Apart from America, where they have just seized some assets, Russian assets. That was yesterday on Friday. So
I don't think they're allowed to take the cash.
anyway, point being,
Anyway,
that
okay.
people are looking to hide their money properly, and other people look. There'll always be someone who's happy to hold your money, hold your money for you. Hang what anybody thinks. And I'm pretty sure there are countries that will be very happy to small islands somewhere say, yeah, you want to set up your servers here, and you're going to pay us this bunch of money that we wouldn't otherwise have. Go ahead.
Yeah. How do we regulate it?
That's the question. That is the thing.
It is. We can't answer it. We can't answer it.
And don't forget the moral aspect is, well, actually, excuse me, Mr. Fusudo, but who's been harmed and why are you regulating it? You can't even argue that it's a harm. It's a harm to whom? No one.
Well,
And
if it
no
gets,
one is forcing you. No one's forcing you to watch these videos. You elect to watch the video. That's on you. And we're not going to pump it out into school children. We're not sort of freely distributing it. It's behind a paywall. You got to get it when you're 18 or older. So I don't really understand what you're talking about. Why are you trying to regulate this for other people? Are you a fascist or something?
Well, there then lies a deeper question about societal values and what we as a society are. You've said it yourself. Where are we going as a society? Are we going to allow, in the element of freedom and freedom of choice, are we allowing really perverse actions to be allowed? Are we allowing it in our society under the banner of freedom?
You know my position already on LGBTQ, so you already know that, as far as I'm concerned, we've way past that point.
No,
where
that's nothing in comparison.
Well, it was the thing. You never understood my argument. It's the thin edge
of the wedge.
Of the wedge was always, once you divorce sex from procreation and its ancillaries, it becomes purely hedonistic. Then the philosophy of hedonism takes over, and there's no more talk about morality. It's gone.
But lust is hedonistic, and everybody has that.
Yeah, but the right to children means that you have to procreate, and I would argue that the hedonistic aspects of lovemaking between a man and a woman in a family situation is such that you are welding the couple together. It's part of the system. It's part of. I believe that this system was designed, not evolved, and the design is. That's what brings you two guys together and holds you together over the years when you can't really stand her face anymore because she's arguing and getting on your tits, and then afterwards you make up and then, you have this nice little jiggy together. That's why the good Lord in his infinite wisdom put the blooming thing in there. But he didn't mean for you to go off the deep end and you just start, poking it everywhere and expect. So this is what I was arguing about all the time.
Okay, I mean that's a separate topic. We've just diverged slightly.
Well,
but
it's not AI for sure. But
no, it's not. It's not. But it's the
what we do with AI.
Yeah.
This is if we're using AI. Like, look, it's a tool, and with any tool, the more powerful it is, the worse it can be misused. It's like nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is wonderful when we're using it for nuclear energy for civilian power generation. Not so great when you're dropping it on people as a weapon.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Is how do we? And about humans, you got to know that humans are generally going to go towards the dark side. It's in our nature.
Unfortunately, you're right. There is an element of that. We're negative facing generally as a race because we have to. That's sort of inbuilt in us from a survival point of view. Because you have to think negatively if you from prehistoric times or whenever early dawn of mankind, you hear rustling in a bush,
Yeah,
You
can't
have to
afford
think
to
negatively. You have to think, what the heck is that? That's going to get me.
Might
It could
not
be
be,
nothing. It could just be the wind. But you immediately alert yourself for survival, and that's and you're right, and that's why we as a race are yeah.
That's
A
why
negative
when
facing.
you ask Tyre, how's it going? They're going,
Yeah, but it's a choice. Let's be honest. You can choose, but by nature we might be slightly negative. But thankfully, we have a part of our brain that allows us to override that through choice. It's not a system that you can't control. It's something you
absolute
can control.
absolute hopelessness is absolute contentment and freedom. I've explained this to you before.
Yeah, I
Being
know.
to be totally and absolutely hopeless means that when bad things happen, of course, that's what you were expecting, and yeah, no surprise there. And when good things happen, oh, look at that. You're pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I try to teach my students to actually veer towards absolute hopelessness, man.
No, because then they'll have apathy and they'll not be
Oh,
using the talents that
I
they've
told them
been.
being apathetic is no use either.
Okay.
It doesn't work because
Yeah, but
just because
hopelessness
mm,
means that you then don't want to even try something because you don't know what the outcome is.
don't
So you,
try don't try to don't try. Okay, so you because you're not expecting to pass, you can actually give yourself the freedom to go ahead and do the work, and that's what they do. That's why
mm,
it works in my classrooms actually, because they don't get scared. They come into class, they hate maths, and I say, "Well, you're useless at maths, aren't you?" And they go, "Yes." I say, "Right. How useless are you at maths?" And they're pretty useless. I say, "All right, show me." And then they do this. I said, "But don't fail on purpose. That's one thing that you must never do. You must never fail on purpose." And so they do
okay.
it. They do it, and then I go, "You got 6 out of 10. I thought you said you were useless." And they're looking at me like, "I don't know. That's never happened to me before." It's because they free themselves.
Well, that's different. Freeing themselves is different from because you've taken the shackles off.
Yeah,
That's different.
I've taken the shackles off.
Yeah.
They're no longer expecting. In fact,
Okay.
I tried to teach them to be disappointed in the six. You got 6. Try. Look, you must try harder next time. And then they still get. I said,
Well,
no.
that's
And when they
okay.
leave the classroom, they're like, "I'm actually not that bad at maths. I'm really surprised." Mm.
Well, that's telling them something that they didn't expect. That's different. You're doing a strange way of getting to their psyche to actually turn them to a positive, which is a positive. So I'm applauding you, but it's
Oh
an interesting
no!
way. Anyway, stop it,
Oh
stop it.
no!
Anyway, look, I'm mindful we're getting to the top of the hour here. We need to sort of wrap up here. So yeah, so going back to our original question and to answer it, we already answered about the fake images and videos of dead
Yeah.
actors, which we've already commented on. But regulating AI. First off, should we and can we?
Should we? Hmm. Mm. Probably. Uh, well, okay. We probably should
Yeah.
ish, but very should ish because it's not certain. But I don't think we need to worry about that because I don't think we can.
Okay.
In the long
Interesting.
run, we can initially. We were always able to when it first comes out,
Yeah.
and then people start chipping away. There are court cases, court decisions, chip, until it gets to the point where actually the cat is out of the bag and it
Yeah.
can't be put back in again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm concerned where the technology is going to take us in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, at the minute we have 3D machines, you know that, don't you,
Mm-hmm.
that create stuff. Now, very soon people will marry the two, put AI to 3D. So you
Mm-hmm.
literally just ask your AI, "Oh, I've run out of cups. Could you make me some?" And it will make you the cups from the 3D machine, and that becomes more sophisticated. It will be very similar to the replicator in
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek.
Star
Okay.
Trek.
Yeah. So you can make you inanimate objects and so forth, and you can get more further than that. But imagine you say, "Well, okay, I want a I don't know, a Magnum P something or other. You know, I hate my neighbor. And guns are against the law. It'll make you a working gun. You just have to find that it, well, actually, you can make the bullets. And now, granted, it may not be made of metal, but it can certainly cause injury. So, at what point, if we let it be unabated, you know, uncontrolled, all this stuff can happen. It's a minefield. It really is. I don't have the answer. We don't have the answer, but there must be some way of regulating it, because otherwise it's going to get out of hand really, really quickly.
What about when AI is told to create AI, its own AI? So you're talking about someone regulating AI, but a bad actor who gets into an AI company could say to the AI, okay, create me an AI engine that can only be accessed by myself and will bypass rules, or it has no rules in it. So create that AI for me. And nobody knows what the hell is happening. And then and then, you know, it's got backdoors in it and all sorts of things. You don't know what's happening because you can't even read the code. Remember when I said two AIs were talking, they had to be switched off?
Yeah.
Because they decided that human language was too inefficient. And so they created their own language to speak into, and then the people were watching this going on like, we don't know what they're talking about.
What they're talking about.
We had to switch it off. We had to switch it off at the plug, man.
Wow. The thing is, you see, I mean, we have to end the show. We've gone way over time. But just a summary, do you remember the Terminator films?
Yep.
That could be where we are heading. Indeed, because as soon as we let AI look after weapons and make decisions, because have you seen, very, very quickly, I'm mindful of the time here, have you seen that new laser shield that they've produced now? Wow. This is another level again. Very easy to produce, very, very cheap, and it's like a shield using laser beams. And so basically, these lasers can take out anything in the sky, anything, and it takes it seconds. And because laser light is instantaneous, it doesn't matter how fast these weapons are flying, attacking you, they'll be taken down. You allow AI to watch the skies and monitoring it, it can pinpoint these multiple lasers at these. So you're creating a force field, like in Star Trek, using laser tech. And it's cheap. It's cheap because the current method of using these defense systems is shooting a rocket at an ongoing,
shooting a bullet at another bullet is how it's been described. Very difficult to do.
Indeed. But with lasers, no problem at all.
Apart from bad weather.
No, apparently not.
No, that's that whoever told you that is lying. I don't care what they say. Bad weather, no laser. You can't penetrate. You can't see what you're doing. That's the end of that. The laser diffuses as it passes through water vapor, and which is clouds, and which is fog. So it diffuses, and it's you know. They've tried different wavelengths and things like that. So far, it's come back zip. He said it's cheap, but the amount of energy that you need to produce.
It's not. It's honestly, Israeli. I was reading an Israeli document only recently, the last month or so.
Not that much fog in Israel.
No, I know, but granted, yes, possibly. But the point is, it was incredible, and it was easy and cheap.
I'll look it up. I mean, maybe we do a show on it. But I got to be honest with you. It sounds like somebody's trying to sell weapon systems, and the Russians and the Chicoms. Hell, I suppose they are.
They're all developing it.
Chinese communists.
They're all developing
it. No, of course.
So it's a good in a way because it defuncts all the nukes. Because basically you've got this shield of lasers. It's not a offensive weapon; it's a defensive weapon because you have this array of lasers. And they're all controlled.
Should I erect this for you? Should I tell you something?
Go on. We need to figure the time.
If I was building a nuclear deterrent for Nigeria, which is not going to be a great missile system or something because we don't have the technology, I just build the one weapon, right? But I build that weapon as far down into the Earth's crust as possible, with as many megatons as is humanly feasible. So I'll go crazy here, 1 trillion megatons.
Okay.
And if I detonate it, the entire world will go up. That's a defensive weapon. Nobody then can invade the country because it would be all tied in.
Genocide.
No, it will be tied in automatically so that, it's decisions taken out of the hands of humans. It's just that you've been invaded, you've lost the battle. All right, so we all go up. And you don't need lasers or anything, and you can't be stopped. See what I mean?
Yeah, indeed. Okay, anyway, we've gone way beyond that. We'll leave it on that point. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.